what you see and you think is the problem, it never is. So family constellations allow us to see what is the cause of that problem that you see in the surface. Family passes information that made you survive so far. Okay, so if you survived, the information worked. Invisible loyalty is just a type of energetic bond that you have with a member of your family, especially with mom, dad, or people who were rejected or who are not included in the family system.
Anytime anyone doesn't seem like they belong, there is some sort of dysfunction in the system, and the whole system maneuvers in a way to try and fill that gap, but it usually then creates dysfunction in you because you're not in the right spot.
You learn from the father energy how to relate to society, to the masses, to the big external world. But energetically, you cannot access to your father's energy if your mom doesn't allow it. When we are kids, we start to see our father from our mom's eyes. And if this continues, when we are adults, we will see all men with these same eyes. Sometimes people try to honor by doing things for them, for the ancestor, but mostly in family constellation, you are asked to honor by living your own life authentically.
If this show is resonating with you, don't just feel it, support it. Follow the show, subscribe on YouTube, turn on the bell, drop a comment, or leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in. It takes just a few seconds, but it helps this message reach the people who need it. We feel your support and we're grateful for it. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome to the Enlightened EXP Podcast. Today's conversation is about the invisible emotional inheritances we carry within our family systems. The patterns that repeat generation after generation, the ways we unconsciously become loyal to pain, to guilt, abandonment, or sacrifice without even realizing it. We're diving into Family Constellation Therapy today, which we've done before, but I'm really, really grateful to our guest today, Katherine Barroeta, who is here to talk all about family constellation therapy, how it's changed her life, how it's changed the lives of so many of her clients. And I've been very grateful to be learning from you for the last few months. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So excited.
Very exciting, Kat. We're finally here. We're going to talk about mother wounds, father wounds, how family constellation systems need to evolve over time, and how we inherit some of these things that don't even belong to us from past generations. So I wanted to first ask you, what is family constellation therapy to you and to the masses to help them understand if they've never heard of it before, and why is it so powerful?
Yeah. So for me, I will describe it as a type of therapy, systemic therapy. It was developed by Bert Hellinger, but right now everyone's approach is a bit different. So it's a type of therapy that helps you reveal hidden patterns. It's very interesting for me because what you see and you think is the problem, it never is. So family constellations allow us to see what is the cause of that problem that you see in the surface. In families, you call it systemic therapy because it's a system. Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about how the problem is never what we think it is, because I think a lot of us do that. We'll go into therapy or we'll go into somewhere and say, this is what the problem is, or he is the problem, or she is the problem, or this thing within me is the problem. And often family constellation shows us that we're not even close.
Yeah. What I always say is, if that was the problem, you wouldn't have that problem anymore. So you're looking at the wrong place. Yeah, because problems are not really problems. They are just a symptom or a sign that something needs to be acknowledged. So in family constellations is always something hidden, because if it was visually, if it was there out, you would have solved the problem already. So mostly it's because people or we are not looking at the right place. Once we look to the right cause, things just spontaneously come back to order. It's really, really incredible, actually.
I'm curious what you make of this now that you've studied it for so long. Why are some behavioral patterns behavioral patterns sort of really prevalent through the bloodline, through multiple generations?
Yeah, this is a topic that I really love. And what I understand so far is that family passes information. Whether we like it or not, it's information that made you survive so far. Okay? So if you survived, the information worked. That information can be painful, it can be emotions, it can be patterns that don't serve you today, but in the past, they made the family survive. So from my understanding is that we are just passing information that made us survive to the system, and we are alive here now because that worked. The thing is that now those same patterns, maybe they are not updated anymore, or they don't work with the current generations, and that's why we're doing this. So information gets passed on without any judgment. Like universe or the morphic field, I can explain later what it is, doesn't say this is good, this is bad, this we will pass, this is no. Everything else, abandonment, wealth, everything. No matter if you like it or not, but if it made you survive, it will get passed on.
Yeah, I think one of the first sort of classes that I took with you, there's this quote that I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember it exactly, but I have used it so often with myself and with others around me for the last 2 months.
Okay.
And it goes something like, if I recall it correctly, all of the dysfunction in your life is because there is something that you are not accepting. Yeah. And I think you probably have the right one, but that's sort of how I absorbed it. And that's what I'm hearing you say. There's a lot of work I feel in family constellation, which seems to be about, look at where your judgments are. And if you have strong judgments around any of your family members or outside of you, this is where real work, and that's where shadow work happens as well. But this is where the real work is. Can you speak more into that?
Yes, definitely. Like shadow work without family constellation is already looking at the universe as a mirror. Okay? The only way, I can never see my own face. Never. The only way I can see my own face is using a mirror. The same way universe works. So if what I'm seeing in front of me is triggering something in me, the trigger or the wound is not there, it's in me. But otherwise, if I wouldn't be triggered, I don't know, I don't have any means to know what is here because it's invisible until it gets triggered and I feel a rush of something in the body that we call emotion. Then I know, that thing that you are showing me triggers something, so I need to look at here. And the word that's accepting or acceptance is tricky sometimes to use, but what acceptance in family constellation is, you are okay with what is. It doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't mean that you don't try to evolve or fix it somehow or heal from it, but you're fully integrated as is.
So let's get into real examples and practicalities here. I'm sure there's a lot of things that family constellation has shown a mirror up to you. What is an example you can share with us where you were triggered by little things and then family constellation showed you what the real issue was versus what you might have thought the issue was?
Well, my very first family constellation, actually, that was my very first family constellation with horses, showed me how my father was actually the one getting all the trouble. So I am free energetically from taking the shadow of the family.
Say more.
So in my case, I would say the person who is most rejected is my father, or more judged somehow, no? So, okay, father, we all direct energy of judgment towards him. But that constellation really showed me how my dad was actually taking all of those judgments and all that shadow in the family that is in everyone. Because when you judge something in other, it's also in you. Mm-hmm. But the other person shows it. So he was taking, so I can be free from those behaviors. So, and the family constellations really show me, like, it's impossible not to see it. And no matter how much we talk here, but when you are actually in front of that person or the horse or anything representing that element in your family system, you really see it.
And so in your case, because your father had become sort of the black sheep in the family and everyone was throwing judgment at him, watching this sort of theater of your family play out in the family constellation with horses, which is amazing, you felt, oh, wow, look, everyone's looking at him with those sort of dagger eyes, so they don't have the energy to judge me for some of my life choices.
Yeah, exactly. So he was taking a lot of things that I know I don't deal with them in my daily life, but it doesn't mean that I don't have them as an information inside me, okay? And then after that constellation, I completely changed the way I saw my father. Like something changed in me. And that allowed me to really integrate more a healthy masculine and the father in myself, which is so important for us as adults now.
We'll come back to the acceptance piece later on, because I think that's super important, and we'll keep coming back to it, I think, as we talk about this. But I wanted to get into, in the family system, you speak a lot about these invisible loyalties. What are invisible loyalties, and why are they important for us to understand within our family system?
Yeah, it's really important to know it consciously because they are invisible to the eye. Yeah, so they can really be a burden for us and we don't even realize they are just a loyalty. So an invisible loyalty is just a type of energetic bond that you have with a member of your family or somebody else. Your partner can be anyone, but especially with mom, dad, or people who were rejected or who are not included in the family system. So perhaps the grandfather that had 3 families, and then in our family we don't speak about him anymore, he becomes a rejected person. So because in the family system, everyone belongs, no matter what they did or they didn't do, everyone belongs. Someone needs to show or someone needs to acknowledge him. Yeah, and the family system chooses a person to be loyal to it. So invisible, why? It means that if this person needs to belong, needs to be acknowledged, but no one remembers him anymore, no one speaks about him, then I'm going to have some traits that are exactly the same. But those traits are not serving me, they are going to bother me. They are going to call my attention in my life, like, or patterns. You were asking about patterns. So the same pattern, why do I repeat the same? Why do I encounter the same? I fall in love with partners that are always married. Why? No matter what I do, that happens to me and I cannot control it. Maybe I have an invisible loyalty towards that member of the family. So family constellations just say, bring it back in your heart, no matter.
It's interesting because it's both then invisible loyalties and also invisible disloyalties, as in ones that you really shunned from the family. That's just as important. It might also be a family member that you really, really have this like deep attachment to and is really involved, but you have also an invisible loyalty with them, right? It can be both.
It can be both. Yes.
And I do love this. I think I intuitively learned this, but until I sat down with you, I didn't realize, like really the theory behind family constellation is everyone belongs. Yes. Every single person in your entire family constellation or anyone who's really been involved in the family, they belong in the system. Anytime anyone doesn't seem like they belong, there is some sort of dysfunction in the system, and the whole system maneuvers in a way to try and fill that gap, but it usually then creates dysfunction in you because you're not in the right spot. Okay. And the other thing that I learned from you was this acceptance piece. Like, how can you get everyone to belong in the family system? Because if they don't belong, it's often because of judgment. You did wrong, or you did something that we don't like, or we just don't want to deal with this person. But if we can just accept them for who they are, then we will also have the acceptance for who we are and the role that we play in the system.
Exactly. Yeah. So now as adults, we can see it this way. Like, if I want my mom to accept me fully, then what should I give to her? Fully acceptance, right? Fully acceptance doesn't mean that I have to have a relationship with her.
I love this distinction because I think there will be a lot of people out there that say, I just can't.
Yes.
And so what is then the family constellation way to accept someone back into the system and really not pass judgment and heal from this? What are the steps forward?
So the first step is always going towards your mother. It doesn't have to be the actual mother, the human being. Family constellation, we are almost never talking about the actual human being. We're always talking about it energetically. And that part of your mom or your dad or any family member that is in you. Yeah? So the first step that everyone has to do as per family constellations to heal is to take the mother as it is. Take that feminine energy. Take the mother that you had. No matter what she did, no matter if maybe she abandoned you right away or she died or anything like this, you take everything that happened as it is, and if it caused you any harm, then you heal, and then there is many ways of healing emotionally. You now as an adult you can, but the work is not to reject the experience. That's the very first step. Then first is with mom, then it's with father. So if I can fully take them means accepting what happened, accepting what didn't happen, accepting what is. Why? Because I am alive today. In family constellation, they did their job if you're alive today. This is so controversial.
Yeah, stop. This is how you accept, right? Are you alive? Are you living? Then your mother and father did their job. You are here. And everything else on top is the sprinkles on the sundae.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is controversial.
Yeah.
But it's also, if you get past that controversial lens to some degree, it's incredibly liberating.
Yes, exactly.
So liberating. Like, okay, I would have done it differently, but they did. And I think this is what sort of the Western psychology, is trying to get at when they say, my parents did the best they could. Right?
And sorry I interrupted, but you would have done differently as Erica. But if you were incarnated in their flesh, you would have had the same parents they had, the same childhood, the same beliefs, the same emotions. So you would have done exactly the same. Because we see it as our incarnated body as Katherine, as Erica.
Yeah.
That if we were them, we would have done exactly the same.
This is such a powerful piece of wisdom that you've just mentioned, because I think all of us, it's just human nature for us to believe that, oh, they must see it my way. I'm human, they're human. And we forget that we are all living this experience called life. And every one of those interactions or experiences that we have shape us and how we interact with the world.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautiful to be reminded of like, oh, yeah, if you were to actually put yourself in their body, in their shoes, in their life, maybe you would have been exactly the same.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's go into this, because you've already started speaking about the mother. And in Family Constellations, you guys always say, even if you have the best relationship with your mother, it always starts with the mother. What does that mean?
Yes, because we don't, wounds don't start now.
Wounds don't start now.
Yeah. So if you have wounds, emotional wounds, they probably are from childhood or until 15, 16 years old, most of it, or inherited. Yeah, that's why I love this work, because you can also see what is inherited and what's actually yours. So if you have now a nice relationship with your mom, as humans, two humans relating to each other, amazing. That doesn't mean that you don't have wounds. Yeah, and those wounds are from a child or a baby that didn't understand that when the mom left, when he or she was one day old, she was just in the other room. You know? So those wounds are very irrational. That's why you cannot heal emotional wounds with your mind, because it will not make sense. You say, my mom was always there. Why do I cry when someone tells me they don't like me? Because there is a wound that doesn't make sense, but because you didn't create that wound now, it was when you were very small and everything was put first as a survival, then as emotional. So everything that happens for a kid of 7 years old, everything is emotional. Nothing is rational. Yeah. So those first years of our life are so important, and they shape what we feel later on. So when Family Constellations take you to that mother when you were a kid, okay? And there is something really interesting, that is the interrupted movement. In Family Constellations, they say that we always have a natural movement. The first movement is to be born. The second is to go towards your mom, to take the milk. This is success for a baby. When something happens and that movement gets interrupted, then the disorder starts.
And what kind of ways can that movement be interrupted with the mother?
For example, mothers who die when they are delivering, or mothers who are not emotionally available, mothers who had before, let's say, they lost a child and then they had you. If they didn't grieve or they didn't really acknowledge that grieving process, they will not be there emotionally for you. So yes, you have a mother physically, but emotionally you didn't feel nurtured, you didn't feel loved. There is some emptiness. Yeah? That later on we try to fill with our partners and business, etc. But so yeah, your mother was there, but she was not emotionally available. Mother who didn't or couldn't take their own mother. This is so important, because even if you try your best, if you don't resolve your things with your own mother, you cannot be fully available emotionally for your child. And this is something I think very important because in therapy, all the mothers I have, they all want to be a good mother. It's something general. Everyone wants to be a good mother, and they try. But if you didn't take your mother with these steps, then you won't be able to fully be there emotionally for your child. So you maybe overdo things, but it will never be enough. Emotionally, we're talking about emotionally here, and energetically, yeah? So this is so important that you reconnect the movement that once got interrupted.
I've seen this quote. I assume it's a Hellinger quote, but that goes something like, how you relate to your mother is how you relate to life.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that when you're a baby, who represents life? Your mother. Your mother is basically your house, your life, everything. She's giving you everything in the belly, right? She giving you life. She's giving you nurture, food, and once you are born, it's also mother. Okay, and those are the first taste that we have about life is through our mother. That's why he says that when we are adults, mother means life, because it's the very first imprint that we had that life means our mother. Because once they were together, they were the same thing.
And so if some people out there are going, yeah, I have a decent relationship with my mom, but I'm not sure, how would like a disrupted movement with our mother or a disrupted relationship with our mother show up symptomatically later on in life that might make us go, ooh, those are some things that are showing up in mine?
Yeah. Okay, so for example, women are very masculine, like really high masculine. Men that are really feminine, or they cannot really thrive in life. Yeah, addictions, alcohol, drugs, a lot of things. Addictions come from that. Addictions even to workaholic, people who are workaholic. What else? Symptoms related to nutrition or food. Symptoms
so
related.
Dyslexia or anorexia.
Yeah.
Or not dyslexia, sorry, anorexia or bulimia.
Anorexia, bulimia, exactly. What else? Things that are related to your own body image. If you don't know, but you reject a part of your body and always been like this, and you don't like it, but very strongly, you have to go and check something because there is an interrupted movement there.
Yeah, there's also some interesting ones I've seen listed, like general dissatisfaction with your life, job, or profession. I thought that might be more a father wound thing, but it's here for mother wound. Overhelping and people-pleasing, and sabotage when getting too close or intimacy. That one makes sense. If you weren't getting it from your mom, then perhaps later on in life, deep intimacy is something that scares you.
Yeah, not only that scares you, is that once it became a life threat. Okay? So we call it now, oh no, I feel uncomfortable intimacy. It's not only that. When you were a baby, it was actually life-threatening that your mom was not there. You cannot survive without an adult, without your mom, okay? So if there was, when you had to reach for your mom was not there, there is this interrupted movement, then the abandonment wound is caused, but it's so strong in you because it's about survival. Right now, if a woman leaves the room, we know we will survive. It will not get such a hard wound. But when we are a baby 1 day old, it means that we may not survive. So it is actually a survival thing. That's why it gets imprinted so hardly.
And so the imprint there is when we were young, we basically emotionally sort of blunted ourselves, that we grew stronger to the fact that no one else is there and we grew hyper independent.
Exactly. So, and it became like when the mommy was not there, then the child makes a decision, which is I'm not going to allow her anymore because I don't want this to happen again. Of course, this is not conscious, it's energetically. It happens. So now when the next person, and now my partner, I'm an adult, but then now someone is close to me, it will feel threatening. It will feel highly uncomfortable if I didn't deal with those wounds. So I hyper independent because when I depended on someone, they were not there. So my life was in danger. Yeah, and this could happen even if your mom was there. So it's very important that we don't look at the actual facts, but what we feel or the symptoms. If the symptoms are very high, but your mom was there, your dad was there, was good, then maybe you look a little bit before that. It could be transgenerational. So you came already with this inherited. The wounds can be inherited, so the emotional information. Yeah.
So this is a fascinating thread to pull on, because if you've inherited something that really doesn't feel like it's yours,
yes,
that has come from your mother or your father or your grandfather or grandmother or yada, 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 all the way down the patriarchal, matriarchal lines, and you have this, but you don't have any felt experience that is, supporting that you have this trigger or whatever it is, what can we do about it? It just feels like something that Velcroed onto us on our back. And it's like, okay, what do we do with it?
Yeah, and this is why I started to study this.
Yeah.
Because my life didn't make sense. Why do I have all those symptoms that in therapy we say is about this, but I didn't have those issues in my life.
Can you give an example?
For example, I always put this example, like was the self-value. My own self-value was on the floor and like minus 100. And like it didn't match how I was raised. It didn't match the lovely home that I was living in. Like my parents were together. They always approached me and my brother so nicely. Until now, I still see it. So why did I grow up with such lack of self-value and lack of self-esteem? Then I started to deal in transgenerational therapy and family constellation, and I realized it was coming from my grandma. From both, but especially from mother's side. So when I hear her stories, then I can see, for her, it makes sense that she will have this symptom.
How did you know? Like, was it just you going and asking her and spending time with her and going, oh, she has low self-esteem here, or whatever the self-image is? What was the moment where you realized, oh, I have the exact same thing as her?
Because, spending time with her, asking her for stories, at the same time that I was studying. And I was doing this because when you study family constellation, it's not only studies like theoretical. You are working on yourself while you study. You learn the theory, yes, but the theory is like 5%. Then the 95%, the rest is you working on those things. So if we are learning about mother wounds, then we are working on mother wound during that period. So it's very intense, but at the same time that I was learning about this, I was asking her for stories. My mom used also tell me some stories that then something clicks when everything goes together and your knowledge and then the stories that they tell you, then you are. This happened because of this, and I understand now that we don't carry those things as karma. It's that every system needs to evolve. So if one person couldn't deal with all of it, the information doesn't get destroyed. It just gets transformed.
And passed down generation to generation.
Exactly, for the family system to evolve. It's not a karma, it's not something for you to be, nothing bad. We just need to deal with it. Yeah, and family constellations make it so simple, and that's why I like it. But emotionally, sometimes people are afraid because they didn't deal with their emotions. But it's actually very simple. It just needs to be acknowledged. I acknowledge that these symptoms that I have of lack of self-worth are not mine. They belong to my grandma, and I can see it so clearly. So now I can start, but I need to, there is like an emptiness in between the healing, because now I don't know myself as a very confident person. So now I need, I already gave away and I don't feel it anymore, but there is a moment of emptiness where you need to transform and start learning those things that you didn't learn as a child. So it gets a little bit scary sometimes to be in that moment of emptiness, but it's really liberating.
That's really beautiful. And so for some people out there that don't know a family constellation therapist and might be tuning in somewhere and they don't know how to start about it, are you saying that they can just reflect themselves as well and perhaps find some patterns? Maybe look into this. I'm sure there's a lot of resources available online as well, but really look at it. And once they identify an issue, the most important thing is to just acknowledge that that issue exists and that it is not mine to carry, and energetically give it back to whoever you think owns it.
Yes.
It's simple as that.
It's simple as recognizing that the other person went through something that it didn't get recognized in the family system. So someone needs to acknowledge that. So the first step is I see you, and you will see this phrase in every family constellation. I see you. Because if you cannot see, if you cannot open your eyes and see what's in front of you, you cannot start the healing. Yeah, so I see you is the first step. Then I acknowledge that you went through something. Maybe you don't fully know, but you acknowledge that. And then you are grateful because that person, you are alive in part because of that person. When it's a family ancestors, okay? And then honoring the person. And this is sometimes people try to honor by doing things for them, for the ancestor, and it's actually, it could be, yes. But mostly in family constellation, you're asked to honor by living your own life authentically. So if this really doesn't belong to me, with love, I give it back to you because you can deal with it. Yeah, energetically, even if the person is not alive anymore.
And whenever I think of this, and as I'm hearing you say this, I think, boundaries. Boundaries. Does boundaries tend to come particularly around the mother energy and the mother wound? Or does it, when I think of guilt for living your own life, I often hear that is something that they feel more towards their mother than their father. I'm curious if that's true, or if it's guilt for living your own life is sort of spread across the whole family system. It's
especially with the mother. Actually, especially with the mother, but with everyone, but especially I would say with the mother. And in family constellation, there's a concept that says that when you are, it's the bad consciousness. The bad consciousness creates guilt, but that means that you are in the right path. The good consciousness doesn't create guilt, but that means that you're just being loyal to your family.
People pleasing.
Yes, avoiding completely who what you really want. So here we're encouraged to have bad consciousness, because it means that you will do something because you want to do it. You will honor what you want. And that may be, sometimes it's the same, but that may be opposite to what your mom wanted or what your father wanted. And that creates guilt and you deal with the guilt. The guilt is just a sensation in the body.
Beautiful.
You learn how to deal with it, it's fine, but you keep honoring your path. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's such a beautiful reframe, because I do know so many people, especially from the Middle East, from Asia, from Latin America, where we have such, I say we, but when these cultures have such strong relationships with their families, there is a lot of guilt to do what you're told or what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful reminder that guilt is something that we have to feel through, but it's a beautiful indicator that we're living our lives the way that we were meant to live it when we came here onto this planet.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
It's
Gorgeous.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Okay, let's we always talk about the mother and the mother wound. I know that it's super important, but the second relationship that is important is the relationship with our father.
Yeah.
If the mother represents life and nourishment, what does the father represent?
The father represents is how life go out of the world. Okay, now you're alive. You fully have life in you. Now, how do you bring that life to the world? Because we are not isolated. Right? There are more people out there, and there is a world. So, father represents how you step out of your house, step out of you, your persona, your house, and then how you bring that life towards the external or the exterior. Yeah.
So would it be safe to say, like, mother, what we get from our mother is how we relate to others, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to life, and then how what the father comes and teaches us is how we relate with the material world, like our work, maybe our sense of purpose, direction, money, these sort of things?
I wouldn't put it just
too
so
simplistic?
rigid.
Okay.
But what they say, like in transgenerational therapy, is mother represent how teach you how to relate to yourself, and father how to relate to others.
Okay.
But because each thing or each material thing, for example, money, you have like inner part that money represents and the outer part. So depending on if it's inner, it's more mother and more feminine qualities. If it's external, it's more father.
Okay.
So basically, you learn from the father energy how to relate to society, to the masses, to the big external world.
And what would constitute, we talked about interrupted movements with our mother, or that mother energy. What would be interrupted movements with father energy if we were missing some of that? Well, how would that happen?
Yeah, for example, same things like abandonment. He was always working, for example, or he was not available, or emotionally he was not there, or he was really abusive or aggressive. That also makes you have an interrupted movement. But here the most important is that, and this is very important actually, because who allows you to access the father energy is your mom.
Say more.
So many of us deal with absent fathers, and we blame the guys, we blame the men, the human being. But energetically, you cannot access to your father's energy if your mom doesn't allow it. Energetically. So see, there is no one to blame here, because your mom and your father both chose to be together in a conscious or unconscious way. Yeah. So when we are kids, we start to see our father from our mom's eyes. And if this continues, when we are adults, we will see all men with these same eyes. And if those eyes are very healthy and nice and they serve you, amazing. But if those eyes of your mom were tinted by hurt, by relationship issues, etc., you will have the same eyes towards every man, masculine energy, and masculine energy in you.
Okay, I think this is super, super important. But I'm also curious, before we dive in a little bit deeper, does the reverse also apply? I don't hear it very often, but if your father had, perhaps a not so positive viewpoint on your own mother, could it taint your view of all feminine in the world later in life as a woman or as a man?
I don't see it that often, to be honest. Yeah, I don't see it that often, but...
Isn't that fascinating? Because, of course, the prevalent, probably the toxic femininity conversation is, men aren't there, they're absent, they don't show up, they're not reliable, they're not responsible, whatever, blah, 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 judgment after judgment. And many of these may be self-created. The fact that we have these, they're self-created from us or probably passed down from generations of women who have said that.
Yeah, because yes, at some point maybe men or one man did very destroyed the family a lot. So we have to see them that way because that made us survive. But today, if you want to attract a good, healthy, masculine, but in your eyes everyone is bad or everyone will destroy the family because it happened 3 generations ago, if you don't update that vision, then you will keep attracting the same... But it's not that you are attracted on purpose. It's that you are resonating. Your masculine is resonating with that way of
seeing the world.
Exactly. So your masculine will just resonate and be with the same type of frequency.
Tell me some symptoms of if you have some father wounds or these interrupted movements with the father. How does that manifest in your adult life? How might that look?
Yeah, for example, people who are, they cannot deal with someone telling them what to do, especially men. People who are aggressively, very aggressive, but they cannot control it. Yeah. People with, for example, I see very often in football. I play football, and sometimes the referees, most of the times they are men, and they really get a lot of treatment that are very aggressive from players, and they don't have anything to that. Doesn't, in my view, as a holistic therapist, that has nothing to do with that referee because this is a game. But it's mostly towards the anger of the father that was not there as you wanted to be. So people who struggle with authority, people who are drawn to military and navy, all this kind of structured, rigid, masculine environments. It's a way for them to be in touch or to try to get back to the father energy in one way or the other.
And so I'm hearing anger. Are there also not knowing what to do with life is also one of them if you're feeling a little bit floating in life?
Yes, lack of direction, because the masculine energy knows where to go and follows. Okay, so when you don't know what to do and you are like this, lack of direction, it's really a symptom of there is something to integrate about the masculine in you.
Does it impact women and men differently?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about those differences. What about men with the father wound versus women with the father wound?
So, for example, men, like women with father wound, maybe they go and have many partners, masculine partners. A lot. Like a lot. No?
So relationally, a little promiscuous,
yes,
we might say.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not even that they really want, it's just happening.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, because if you want, it's a conscious decision, no problem. When you are not fully into, but it's happening in your life, this is when you have to look at. Yeah? Then in men, for example, it could be the opposite. It could be a very feminine man. Yeah, maybe, or someone who is extremely masculine, but not in a balanced way.
Like a macho man.
Like a macho alpha, yes, exactly. So they are not in touch with their emotions. They think the emotions are weakness. They don't listen to anyone. Like something that doesn't serve their life either. So see, it's different in women and men.
Again, I assume it's the same in terms of rectifying this. But if someone out there goes, my father, I don't know who they are. They're not there. I don't have a way to get in touch with them. What's your advice to them to start looking at this father wound and working towards healing it?
Yeah. First thing I would say is to recognize the father and the mother that you had in life for real. Life will always present you a father and a mother. Always. If your parents were not there, then you have maybe your grandma, your grandpa, an aunt, uncle, someone who adopted you, a boss, the guy in the store that you always go to, a teacher. So there is always someone that is going to represent the mother for you and the father for you. So no matter if they are not there in a human level, life will provide you those energies. So just look around. First step, look around and see who are they. Yeah. And second thing would be to start recognizing that you are alive today. So you had everything you needed from them. This is 2 steps that are easy, but not easy to do. It's simple, but not easy. Yes.
Yeah, I see the acceptance piece as so critical. Again, we come back to it over and over again, accepting your parents and whoever in your life with no judgment. They are who they are, and that allows you to be who you are. There was also this piece I recall you talking about when it came to the relationship with the father energy, which had to do with receiving. That our job as children, and maybe it's also with our mother, but our job as children is to learn to receive. And I know that this is very difficult for a lot of women, me included, and a lot of men as well. It's really difficult to receive. What message do you have about the importance of learning receiving in order to set the system to be in balance?
The first thing is that you cannot give if you didn't receive. So everyone likes to give, especially in cultures like this. Everyone likes to give, but no one has received fully. No? You judge, or we judge to people who are always receiving without giving. Yeah, we praise people who always give. No, so it's in the culture that the judgment goes towards receiving more than the one giving. So the first thing for you to be able to give something is to receive it first. And from mother and father, we only receive. And this is something, and that's the difference about family constellations with that from other type of therapies, that with your mom and your dad, your only job is to receive life, to receive from them fully. Even if it was painful, if there was abandonment, abuse, rejection, anything, you fully receive it. And then you can start heal, or you can start to separate what you want later or not. Okay, and from there, there is like a depth that you feel, And so many people want to give back to their parents, but you cannot give back life. You cannot give back what you receive from them. So Family Constellation says, pay it forward. So give it to your kids, give it to your business, to society, to people who need that thing that you received already. So that your first job as a human being is to receive life. Because if you're not alive, you cannot give anything. So receive life as it was, as it is, and then from there you can give.
Yeah, I find that really beautiful. There was someone who once told me, Erica, if you don't learn to receive fully, because all of these things exist in my head of like, oh, I don't need that, so give it to someone who does need that, blah, blah, blah. All of these excuses we can make up. But actually, they reframed it for me as you are doing a disservice because life is energy. And if someone is trying to give you something, even if you don't want it, you rejecting that is stopping energy from flowing through you. And so you have to learn to receive and so that the energy can move where it wants to through life. Otherwise, you're causing a dysfunction in the wider system. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, yeah, I really don't want to be the kink in the hose, I really want to be the one that's helping to move things along. And that's where my work is.
Yeah. And we ask life a lot of things, or God, or whoever we believe, we ask. But then we ask and we can receive only from specific people, or no, I will receive money if it's mine, from my work. Then we put conditions when life is trying to give us. So surrender, receive, and then once you have, you can give.
How can we learn to fully take on our Father?
First thing is to acknowledge that a lot of the resentment that you have towards your father is actually coming from feminine energy, from your mother. So when you redirect the resentment towards the person that started it, you liberate your father a little bit from that view. Doesn't mean that you have to stay with the resentment towards your mom, but it's the first step. Redirecting that a lot of things that I now judge about my father is because my mom used to judge, or my family, the women in my family used to see him that way. So when you do that redirect, the judgment, then you free your father a little bit from all that. And second is to see the qualities as a full rainbow of qualities. Like if you have a quality that now is a bit negative, that negative also have a positive. So instead of rejecting just because your father is showing the negative, take that quality and have the full spectrum of it, because it's already inside you anyways. So imagine, let's say your father has all negativity possible, then the same as positive is. So by you taking fully, and then you can decide to express more the positive side. But once you take fully what he's showing you.
That's an interesting reframe. So you're saying if there's someone in your family, whether it's father or mother, that you have huge judgments against and you only see their negatives, you are saying in the sort of spiritual context, everything has a yin and yang and is in balance.
Yes.
And so if you see them as 9,500 points of negative, then there must be 9,500 points of positive that you need to identify.
It's equal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a powerful reframe. And I think it is a really powerful reframe around what are the judgments that are really truly ours that we hold against people in our family, or which of these have been programmed into us. And we need to really, especially as we reach our 40s or maybe young 30s, 40s, really reprogram them and say, what is it that I really believe versus what I've been inherited from my family.
Yes.
Kat, as we close off here today, I want to ask you, is there anything that we haven't been able to touch on yet that you're like, I really want to leave this message or touch on this? Or
Well, I would say with the judgment, because it's something that I really work with. I have a very judgmental personality, so I have to work with it.
I can too. Yeah. I really try to hide it, but don't we all?
Like, how I see some personalities are more.
Yeah, maybe.
So my Virgo, very analytical. My way is always judgment. It's my way of protecting. So I really work with it. And
where does it come from, by the way? Where do you think the judgments come from? I mean, some of them are inherited, but obviously, I mean, also if you think about it in family systems or IFS, they would say it comes from some sort of protection, and you use that word just now. So I'm curious, what are you protecting yourself?
It's the mind trying to make sense of something. A judgment is not bad, okay? I can say, this is black. That's a statement, it's a fact. But if I say, it's ugly, that's a judgment. But the judgment is because the mind will always try to put labels to spend less energy and to try to make everything relatable to you. Yeah, so when you say, this is black, and the mind doesn't know what to do with just facts. You know, so the mind will always try to make some sort of sense through judgment. Yeah, and then what you judge is what you pay attention to. What you pay attention to is who you are, what you have inside. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been paying attention to that. So your judgment is a nice way of seeing what you have also here and here, what limitancy is. What you judge is what's preventing you from evolving to the next step. So if you have any situation, any conflict at work with your partner and your family with money, look for your judgments. They're very strong, the ones that really hurt you, because that quality you are not being able to integrate it fully in you, and that's preventing you from you evolving. So that's I want to close with.
I love that. And I also want to reiterate something that you said, that having judgments isn't bad.
No.
Because I know so many of my friends that do say, oh, I'm so judgmental. And you can tell they're judging themselves for being judgmental. And labeling that as bad is also probably stunting moving beyond that. And so what advice do you have as someone who considers yourself a little judgmental? How can you come to acceptance with the fact that you are judgmental?
Accepting it. Like dealing with them. The mind is not you. What you're thinking now is not Erica. It's your mind. Your mind is programmed. Your mind is conditioned. Your mind has a job that may or not may be aligned with you. So whatever your mind is saying doesn't represent me necessarily. It represents my conditioning, it represents my beliefs that so far I have. But just listening to it, that's something that is not you.
Beautiful.
So that's how you detach from the judgment that you have.
I love that. And you can also use that to detach judgment then onto others and say, well, they said that, but that's their mind, or they said that's not their heart, or whatever.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I always use this. I always think that person probably didn't choose that thought. So would I be hurt? Yeah, maybe I'd be hurt, but I can deal with my own emotions. But I don't hang on to that, because that person maybe didn't choose the thought.
Beautiful. Kat, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Well, they can find me in myblissfulbalance.co. We have the website and we have many services there. Also in Instagram, Kat Barroeta.
Beautiful. We'll get all of these details and we'll put them in the show notes so people can come and reach you and get some guidance. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much.
Hey there. If you like this episode and you're getting some beautiful transmissions or are feeling inspired to support this podcast in any way, the best way to do that is to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube, or wherever it is that you're plugging into the Enlightened EXP podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Enlightened EXP. If you want to reach out to any of the guests we have on the show, you can check out their profiles and their work at www.enlightenedexp.com. And for those of you in Dubai looking for community, retreats, or additional resources, you can also sign up to our emailing list there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Until then, I wish you more joy, more ease, and a little sprinkle of grace.